In this video, we're going to learn how to use the jQuery UI to create button widgets. Button widgets, they will allow us to create themable buttons, which will come with pre-built hover and active styles. Okay, so we're going to create a few buttons. To start, we're going to create 3 buttons. And I'm going to give each button an ID. So first one, button 1, and then button 2, and then button 3. Okay. Now, to style a button using the jQuery UI, so let's style the first button. We're going to transform the button to a themable button using the jQuery UI. What we're going to do, we're going to access the button using its ID. And then we'll use a method, it's called button. Very simple. Okay. So if we do that and refresh, so you can see now that the button style has changed. If we hover on the button, we can see the style. And also if we click on the button, we can see how the style changes. Okay. If we change the theme, we can see, so let's go for Blitzer, for example. You can see that you've got another style now. Okay. All right. Now let's move to the next button and do the same thing. So you're going to access the button using its ID again. And we're going to use the button method. And if we refresh, we can see that the button has got a new style now. Let's do something else. Let's add an icon to the button. So let's add an icon in the left side. To do this, we will need a property. It's the icons property. And we need to specify whether we are looking at the primary icon or the secondary icon. The primary icon is the one that goes on the left, and the secondary one is the one that goes on the right. Okay, so if we select only, or we specify only a primary icon, let's pick up an icon from our theme roller page. Let's go for this one, UI icon folder open. UI icon folder open. If we refresh the page, we can see that we've got the icon now on the left side of the button. Okay. All right. Now, sometimes we don't want any text to show in the button, and we want only an icon to show there. All we need to do is to set the text property to false. So if we do this now, we will see only an icon in there. So we don't see any text. All right. Okay, so let's do the same thing for button 3. And this time we're going to build the same thing, but we're going to have a couple of icons, one on the left and one on the right. Okay, so we're going to access the button using its ID again. Okay, and now we're going to use the button method. So we're going to be using options here. So we need curly brackets, and then we need icons. And we're going to be adding a couple of icons here. So the first one is the primary one. Okay. And then the next one is the secondary icon. So let's pick up some icons from here. Let's pick up this one. Okay, mail closed. UI icon mail closed. Okay, UI icon mail closed. And for the secondary, let's go for an arrow. Okay, let's go for something like that. UI icon current 1e. Okay. UI icon caret 1e. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's try this. Nice. We can see that now we've got a couple of icons. You can see one on the left and one on the right. Okay. Now we will move to checkboxes. So we'll see how to style checkboxes using the jQuery UI widgets. Okay, let's have only one checkbox inside the Apple div. We'll take out the paragraph and we'll just create an input there. So the type is checkbox, and let's give it an ID, my checkbox, for example. Okay, and also let's have a label for the checkbox. Okay, specify the ID of the checkbox there, and let's have some text there, checkbox. Okay, so you can see the standard styling there without using the jQuery UI themes. Now, if you want to style the checkbox, again we will access the checkbox using its ID. Alright, and then we'll use the same method we've used earlier, so it's button. Okay, so now we can just refresh and see. So if we check the box, we can see how the style changes. If we uncheck it, we can see how the style changes as well. Alright, let's go for another example. So this time we'll create a checkbox form with many boxes, and we will style those boxes all together. So let's go to the Facebook div. So we'll create a new div in here, and we're going to give it an ID. So let's call it checkboxes, and then we will put all our inputs inside. So let's just copy paste this one for now. So the type is checkbox, and let's give the first one an ID, checkbox 1, and the label is for checkbox 1, and it's going to be, so let's go for CalMix, for example, so Audi. Okay, let's copy the same thing. So the second one is going to be checkbox 2. Let's go for BMW, for example, and last one is checkbox 3. And let's go for Mercedes. Okay, so now if we want to style these checkboxes, we can just access the container div, and we're going to use a method. Okay, just one thing, we have placed this outside our ready function method. Okay, so now we'll access the div using its ID, which is checkboxes, and this time to style a set of buttons all together, we are not going to use the button method. We'll use the button set method. Small s. Okay, we could have styled each button separately, but it's easier to use button sets for this example. Okay, so let's refresh the page, and now we can see our checkboxes there, so we can just check or uncheck any of them. We can see how the style changes. All right. Okay. Now we're going to go for radio buttons. They will work the same way as checkboxes, but let's just go for an example and show how it works. So we're going to create a form inside the Microsoft div. Just gonna get rid of the paragraph, and we're gonna create a form with radio buttons. So let's create a div inside the form, and we'll give the div an ID. Let's call it radio boxes, for example. Okay, and then we're gonna have our inputs inside. So first one is gonna be an input, so the type is radio, and let's give it an ID, radio box 1, and also a name. Okay, radio boxes. Okay, that's the first one, and we're gonna give it a label as well. So label for radio box 1. Let's go for CalMX again. So we're gonna go for Ford for this one, and we're just gonna copy paste all these. Let's have our second one. So radio box 2. Let's go for Toyota. Okay, radio box 2. And then radio box 3. And let's go for Ferrari, for example. Okay, so now let's style the radio boxes using the jQuery UI button sets method. So first we need to access the radio box div. So the name of the ID of the div was radio boxes. Okay, so we're accessing here the containing div using its ID. All right, and then we're going to be using the same method we use for the checkboxes. It's button sets. So if we try that, now we can see that our radio boxes are styled. We can check one radio box at a time. Okay, so that's how we use the jQuery UI to create button widgets. In the next session, we'll look at date pickers.